if you want a backrest, just be close to me. Why do you want to be far away? Come on, Bismillah, come near. Yalla, open up the chairs. It's no problem. Bismillah, come. If you want a backrest. I know it's been a long week. I'm sorry. See, I don't think you know the awkwardness of when the Imam has to like go like this to speak. This is very, very awkward and unnatural. You're making me try to do these weird things. I'm trying to just, make it a little bit easier for myself. Jazakallah khairan. Ladies, Bismillah, come on over. We're going to go ahead and start. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Inshallah ta'ala, what I would like you to start off with is to break into groups of 3 to 4. And I would like a mix of demographics. Whether you are high school, college, just newly in your profession, you have been in your career for decades, mashallah, you're retired, does not matter. I want a mix of people and mix of ideas. And I want you to answer a very simple question. How do we protect our children? Not even family, because family we might be thinking different ages. I want you to answer the realm of how do we protect our children? And you might say, you know what, we can do it in this way and that way, mashallah, tabarakallah. What I want you to focus on is give me at least 5 points. Some of them maybe they can be in terms of physical precautions. Some of them maybe in terms of emotional precautions, spiritual precautions, whatever it is. I want each group to give me at least 5 points, inshallah ta'ala, okay? So go ahead, Bismillah, if you can come all the way over here, sisters, that would be great. Go ahead, Bismillah, get into groups of 3 to 4. And at least have one person you have not interacted with before or said salam to. So meet someone new, inshallah, 3 to 4 people. There we go. Yes, join together, Bismillah, different ages. Not groups of 10 to 15. Make sure you make it a small group. 3 to 4. Bismillah. This is 5 now. This is a problem. Come on. Make better groups, inshallah. Ladies, you guys are in groups? Yes, we have them? No, this is too big. I need this in half. Break this group in half. 3, 3. Oh, this is also... What? I gave very simple instructions of 3 to 4, and you guys on purpose want to test me. I just came from the youth high school boys lecture. You should have seen the drama that was happening over there. I'm too fired up right now to make this to be not listened to right now. Okay, break this group in half. Come on, make it. Close your circle. Close your circle. Bismillah. You 3 together. Break it in half. There we go. Break it in half. Break it in half. Don't worry. Break it in half. Bismillah. Go ahead. I want at least 5 points. Okay, Bismillah. 5 points. Ladies, you're discussing again how to protect your children, inshallah. So give me at least 5 points, inshallah, whatever they may be in whichever realm. So go ahead, come on. Please raise your hand and how many points you have so far. Just raise your hand. I want to see how many. 2 over here. 4. Okay. Oh, what? You're saying 1. He's saying 4. What's going on? Okay. How many points do we have? Raise of hands. How many points? Okay. I'll give you about 2 more minutes. Okay, start wrapping things up. Make sure you've written out your points so we can hear from you all, inshallah. Start wrapping things up. Okay, the good conversations keep on going. I want to stop you guys, but you guys are, I don't know if you're talking about dinner plans. I don't know if you're even doing the task anymore. I don't know anymore. I don't know what's going on. Khair, let's wrap it up. Let's, if you guys can turn back this way, inshallah ta'ala. I want a raise of hands. Did anybody in their plan of 5 points, did anybody in their plan put anything about self-defense? Anyone have anything to do with self-defense? Yeah, physical self-defense. Yeah. Anybody have that? No? No jujitsu, no martial arts, nothing? Okay, khair. All right. We need to advertise a jujitsu class that happens a little bit more, that means, okay? There's a jujitsu class that happens here. I forgot when it happens, but it happens over here. Okay, khair. Let's hear the points that we have now. Bismillah. Which side can we start with first? MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Go ahead. What do we have? How many points? You can share it. Actually, you know what? Pass this mic over there. That way they can just speak from the mic. There's another one? Okay, great. Go ahead. You start speaking and you can let us know the points. Bismillah. Ladies, if you can please pay attention. Go ahead. Tafadhal.
To be proud of their identity and don't fear to show their Muslim identity whenever they need to. They sometimes need to go to the restroom differently or pray in the school or do something different than the others. And there is a challenge already in schools because of bullying and things like that. So when it comes to religion, it's more pressure on them. So I think instead of just giving them instructions, sometimes I find more positive response from them when I try to make them proud of who they are. So this is one thing I think is important.
So we have instilling inside of them a love for Islam, a love for who they are, and this is not easy. I've talked to many of the high school kids that go over here and the bullying and the racism and all these things that are there. It's an uphill battle. It's much easier to say, let me just not show any of that or say any of that, because then I become a target, right? And we can have the exact, actually I'm going to pause because I want to hear from this young lady, mashallah. Yes. What is your name? Khadija. Okay, Khadija, what did you want to share? You want the mic? Come on, come get it. Do we have more mics? No?
Like, I was sick. I wasn't like sick, but like my teacher told the class that there was a lot of sickness at the school, and then she sent the message to all the parents, and then she sent it to my parents, and my parents were like, well, we're not sick, but you could ask. And I actually wear it for a whole entire week, and it was okay. Like, everybody in my class understand it. Only one person asked, and they didn't like bully. They were just like, why are you wearing a mask? And I was like, just because I'm not sick, but just because of the sickness. And I don't want to get sick.
Which grade are you in?
Second grade.
Second grade? Oh my God, mashallah. Wow. Okay, my boy is in 4th grade. I thought you were like in 4th, 5th grade. The way you're talking.
My sister's in 4th grade.
Wow. Okay.
She only wear it one day, cause.
You can take the mic around to the aunties when they speak. Okay, I'll just use this one for now. So I trust you with it. Okay, don't do anything wild with that mic. So Khadija, mashallah, how beautiful is that? She's saying that Her parents saw, okay, there's an email, they're sick. Let's do something to protect our little Khadija, mashallah. We're going to go ahead and put the mask on so she's safe. Alhamdulillah. Taking precautions, taking certain things that we can do. Alhamdulillah. If you want, you can even press that button over there. It'll turn it off. So, could you imagine that? MashaAllah, tabarakallah. You know, one thing I wanted to mention about the point, and again, your name again, brother? Muhammad. Brother Muhammad, he's mentioning to us the identity. You know, when you look at from the time of the Prophet ﷺ, we had individuals like this who were proud. They were proud individuals, and the difference was, unfortunately, they did not have any societal standing, nor were they physically, had the stature either. What happened when Umar radiallahu anhu left the city of Mecca to go perform the migration? He said, I'm leaving. If anybody wants to come fight me, I'll be out there. Whoever wants their mothers to cry over their bodies and their wives to lose them, I'll meet you out there. Come meet me over there. Same thing when he accepts Islam, what does he say? Ya Rasulullah, why don't we go pray in public? Umar on one side, Hamza radiallahu anhu on the other side, mashallah, tabarakallah, they're marching out. There's a power, there's a pride over there. Imagine now, if we're saying, be brave, little Muhammad, little Fatima, little Zayd, right? And Bichara Miskeen is getting beaten up left and right. We haven't taught him self-defense. We're telling him to strengthen himself, but we haven't given him any physical strength either to be able to say, if anybody does come bully you, if anybody does come do something to you, you don't need to cause harm to them, but protect yourself. I'll give you an example with my son. In our family, we have some children that are autistic, right? And when you're autistic, you might not have the same cognitive abilities, behavioral abilities. So I tell my son, go play with those kids, but at the same time, realize that unintentionally they might cause harm to you, right? Because one of the things that one of his cousins would do is that he would grab his hair when especially it was long, and he would grab it and he would pull it, right? So if I tell my son, oh, don't play with your cousin, no, that's not what I want. At the end of the day, no, he's your cousin. You need to love him, take care of him. You need to make sure that you need to make sure you're taking care of him and you're being there for him, right? So what did I teach him? I taught him a simple move, right? Nothing is no jujitsu, nothing special. It's just soon as he grabs your hair, you must grab his hand and hold it tight. Because if he pulls, I can't help you at that point, right? No one's going to be fast enough to get off their chair and save you from that pain. You have to learn to protect yourself. Right? You love your cousin, you want to play with him? Great. But realize he might not understand what he's doing and he might cause harm to you. And others, unfortunately, they do understand what they're doing. And they want to cause pain to someone. But especially when they're young children, they're just imitating sometimes what they've seen from their own siblings. They've seen their parents speaking in a certain way. They've watched a show, they've played a game, and they're just mimicking and repeating. And it starts off innocent, but then when those habits and those ideas are not properly met with adab and how to discipline them, they stay in that manner and they say this is normal. This is fine to yell and be angry and aggressive towards someone. It is fine to push and cause harm and do these things. Like boys, for example, what do they love to do? Play fight, right? My son comes home after play fighting. He's like, Baba, my glasses are broken. I'm like, I don't care what you call it. If you want to play fight, you will do it without your glasses. You're going to come home with a bumpy lip and stuff like that. I don't want your glasses bill every couple of weeks. My glasses are broken, Baba. What are you guys doing when your glasses are broken? Oh, my friend pretends to punch me in that. No. Listen, this time it's okay. Next time if this happens again, I'm going to have to speak to him and speak to his parents. So we have to make sure, look, even something might happen unintentionally. Someone might do it. But at the same time, we have to tell the child that, look, your belongings, your body, who you are, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you a right to protect yourself. There are certain things that nobody can touch, nobody can come and hurt you and cause pain to you, nobody can be vile and vulgar and say negative things and harsh things to you. No, you have rights given to you by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And subhanAllah, we as parents might have to ask ourselves, how many times do we encroach or violate the rights of our children? Maybe by verbally what we say, maybe by physically what we do. But that's when we look at the example of the Prophet ﷺ, and we realize that we will never be perfect parents, we will never be perfect children, but when we see his example, we see, how do I become better? How when, like the hadith that as a parent that always boggles my mind. Anas ibn Malik said, I served the Prophet ﷺ for how many years? How many? I heard it. I thought I heard it. 10 years, he said. Never once did he raise his voice at me. Allahu Akbar. He was a 10-year-old boy when he met the Prophet ﷺ. For me, I was with the high school kids for maybe 15 minutes. They all saw a different side of Imam Mahad. The side that you guys don't want to see. The side that was my youth coordinator days, right? Push-ups were being given out left and right. There were wall sits happening left and right. It was gruesome. I'm telling you, they're never going to invite me back. It's finished, okay? But khair, imagine now, subhanAllah, when you instill this taqwa in this child, and you also tell them that this is how you protect yourself, okay? And then you also teach them a little bit of self-defense. So we had Islam, we had knowing who you are. What else do we have? Bismillah. Brother Muhammad, anything else we can have? Give me all the rest of the points that you have, quickly. Khalas, that's it? Bismillah, you started with Islam, ended with Islam, good. But give me the details of Islam as well, what parts of Islam, the physical, spiritual, what are we talking about? Okay, khair. Next group of sisters, inshallah, if you guys can share some points that you guys had. And only different points. So if already been mentioned, move on. Yes. Press the button. There you go. Thank you, Khadija. Jazakallah khairan.
One of the ladies said that by teaching the kids how to say أذكار الصباح والمساء.
Ahsanti, Jameel. Beautiful, beautiful. This is something that we as adults are lacking in, and if we are not doing it, how will we teach our kids? The Prophet ﷺ, could you imagine, could there be anyone who is more resilient to attacks from the unseen than the Messenger of Allah? Who receives revelation? The angels are protecting him. You have all these different things, the Prophet of Allah. But he would every single morning and every single evening read du'as for his own protection and for the protection of his family, for the protection of the household. If you're traveling, for the protection of your wealth even, subhanAllah. What is the bare minimum? Tell me certain things that we can read in the morning and the evening. Tell me, what are certain things that we know that will protect us, inshallah? Ayatul Kursi, excellent. Definitely read Ayatul Kursi morning and evening. Read it after every single salah. Make it a routine. Your kids, if they don't memorize anything else in the Quran, they should have heard you recite Ayatul Kursi so many times after every single one of your prayers, morning and evening, that's one of the first things they should memorize, inshallah ta'ala. Read it out loud. And if you're saying my recitation is not that great, play it on your phone every single prayer afterwards and practice it, inshallah ta'ala. Ayatul Kursi, what else do we have? Good du'as of Bismillah alladhi la yadurru ma'a ismihi shay'un fil ardi wala fis sama' wa huwa as-sami'ul 'alim. Anything else, sisters? A'udhu bi kalimatillahi tamma, right? U'iduka bi kalimatillahi tamma. There's so many du'as of protection. And actually this one du'a, I was teaching someone this from my family. Such a beautiful du'a. U'idukuma bi kalimatillahi tamma min kulli shaytan wa hama wa min kulli 'aynin lama. The Prophet ﷺ used to use the dual form. He was saying, I would entrust you in the protection of Allah. Who's the two kids he's talking about? Hassan and Hussein, subhanAllah. We have a dua recorded in our books of Sunnah. The Prophet ﷺ would read to his grandchildren, and if you read it, grammatically you're messing up because you only have maybe one kid or multiple kids. So the easiest way, أُعِيذُكُمْ or أُعِيذُهُمْ بِكَلِمَاتِ اللَّهِ التَّامَّةِ. I ask Allah to protect you, to save you from what? With his beautiful, complete words, from min kulli shaytanin wa hamma, from every unseen shaitan, the unseen realm, and shaitan is also from the human beings, is it not? Wa hamma, and from beasts. Wa min kulli aynil lama, and every blameworthy eye that is trying to give you ayn and hasad and these things as well. What a beautiful dua. This is something that as parents, as aunts, uncles, cousins, brothers, sisters, make this dua in the morning and evening for your child. So simple. It takes less than 20, 30 seconds. Make it a routine. And you say, you know what, I always forget. Easiest thing, get apps that will either send you notifications or put an alarm on, du'as of protection morning and evening. And guess what? Allah has made it even easier the day and age you live in. Go to YouTube, type in du'as of protection morning and evening. There's already videos there, 17-minute videos. Listen to it on a daily basis, morning, evening, and get used to repeating it over and over again as you're reading it. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Anything else from the sister side? Qul's very good. The Prophet ﷺ, in one narration we have that after magic was done on the Prophet ﷺ. Did you know that? That magic, not the card tricks, we're talking about black magic, real magic, not illusions and those things. That's not magic, that's just play and illusion, right? Magic was done against the Prophet ﷺ. This is what the vast majority of scholars, they understand and believe this, and we have authentic narrations. There are some scholars who said, no, magic did not happen to the Prophet ﷺ, just in case if you're wondering. But the vast majority of our scholars said, absolutely it happened. This is why the Mu'awwidhatayn, Falaq and Nas were revealed. But the extent of what that magic was, it never affected revelation. It never affected revelation. So understand, this is why the scholars who say, no, magic never happened to Muhammad ﷺ, because what we're saying is, from the unseen, something can cause harm to the Prophet ﷺ, maybe the revelation will get distorted, something will happen. No. In Surah Jinn, we learned that even before revelation was coming, the jinn, they say, we used to be able to sit in certain places in the heavens and the earth, and be able to hear the different things the angels would come and say, and that's how we would take information to the soothsayers, these people who have connections with black magic in the unseen world. So, but then when this revelation started, all of a sudden, these places, we couldn't be there anymore. We had no security over there, we couldn't stay and listen. So revelation was something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He Himself guarantees and says, we are the ones who will protect this revelation. We will take care of it. So going to Falaq and Nas, they are the surahs that the Messenger of Allah was used so regularly. Excellent. What else do we have besides the adhkar and recitations of reading du'as and ayat of the Quran? Anything else we can think of protection from the ladies' side? Was there any other points that you guys had? Any other points you guys want to mention? Yes. Excellent. Beautiful. Depending on their age, their circumstance, and their access to technology, I have to prepare them accordingly. If you want to hand your child your phone or their iPad and allow them to go into their room, regardless if they're 5 years old or they're 15 years old, you're already asking for disaster. Because one of the most wisest thing I heard about that, it's not that they have access to what is out there, all of that has access to them. You could protect them as much as you want in your home and when you're watching over them. But if you're saying, good luck and just deal with this iPad and the world will be okay for you, no, subhanAllah. The amount of adult sites, the amount of websites and ads, even if you weren't even talking about that realm, which is already so heavily proliferated throughout the internet, even if you're just talking about Instagram, even if you're talking about YouTube, you have to be careful that for a young child, we're not desensitizing them. And, there's younger kids here, so I'll be very careful with my words. And not showing them the hyper S word in the community and society. We live in a hyper S word society, right? So we have to be able to protect them. If we're saying, yeah, go ahead, watch YouTube. No, even YouTube Kids, subhanAllah, you see some of the ads and stuff that comes on there, and you see some of the crazy videos that are even put over there. If I'm going to allow my child to watch something, I better know what they're watching. I better have gone through that, and there's websites to help you for that. SubhanAllah, the Christians have made websites like this, right? I think they have something called like Angel Flicks or something like that removes certain negative, things. And even then, we'll have a lower tolerance for some of the things, and they might allow certain things that are problematic for us, but it'll be a much cleaner version than what you're going to get over there. So do not just hand over your child a piece of device with the internet and allow them to go somewhere else. If you're going to allow them access to television, obviously it's not if you're going to allow them. When you allow them access to these things, make sure there's limitations as well. How many times have we seen families out to restaurants, everybody's on their device, mom, dad, child, everyone. At least when the food comes out, the adults put their phones away and technology away, hopefully, right? But the kid is like this, glued to the iPad, still looking, and there's airplanes going into the kid's mouth. It's like the kid's not even there. You're making them a zombie at that point. Technology can be used, but it's not a third parent for you to utilize. It can be used to be able to benefit them, but it can also be used to give them harm. It was so hard to even speak like 3-4 sentences at a time with the high school, middle school group of kids. They couldn't even, stay quiet for more than a few seconds. A few sentences in, they have to look away quickly, talk to their friend, they're on their phone scrolling, and it's like, no, we have to be able to teach them this adab. This adab is not going to be taught to them at the masjid, it's going to be taught to them at the home. And if they have open access on their phones already, what do we expect? We're over here trying to say, the masjid program will all of a sudden fix everything. No, that duty is upon us. There are kids. No one's going to emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, no one else is going to take care of them. We have to be the ones who have to step up for our children. We have to be the ones to take care of their needs. We have to be the ones to say, you know what, I need to work harder in this realm. But going back to the realm of protection, anything else from the brother's realm that we can discuss? What else do we have in terms of protecting our children? Good companion. Who said that? Someone said it, but it was beautiful. Yes, good companions. Beautiful. The idea of having people around them that also believe similarly, or they're striving for the same thing. They're not going to be perfect kids. Maybe a kid is doing a major sin, but they still want to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they're trying, and this person might help them in a certain realm, but they're detrimental to them in other realms. Learning that good companion doesn't mean that this one person is going to be perfect. I know that this is my buddy that I play basketball with, but I know if I hang out with this person too much, they swear a bit too much. Or they swear, period. Let's not just say too much. They swear a lot, right? Or they have like very rough ways of dealing with people. And by hanging out with them, I become more pessimistic, or I start swearing, or I start doing these things. I need to learn where these groups of people are, that those who are going to remind me of Allah, maybe I'm hanging out with them in the masjid, in my home, but certain people, I know that if I hang out with them, I will start building these negative habits as well. And we can even bring in these types of children to the larger groups as well, because when they see groups of our children who know that, you know what, try your best not to swear, especially when you're in the masjid, be mindful, be kind to one another. It's not going to be a perfect circumstance by any means, right? It's going to take some time to do that. But when they're in a place where they say, let's try to be at least a little bit better when we're in the masjid, right? We're trying to be a bit better when we're in the masjid. And they remind one another. Alhamdulillah, it's a beautiful thing. And it's not going to be perfect. We're going to still hear them saying words that we don't want them to say to one another. It's just going to be the reality of what it is. And we have to try to improve the circumstance that we're at, opposed to saying, be perfect, be perfect, be perfect. And they're like, I can't. I'm not. You're not. What do you want from me? Right? We're setting standards for them that are unrealistic, opposed to saying, what can I do to help you bit by bit? Improve just like I need it as well. So giving them that companionship, but trying to have them be selective of who they want to be friends with and who they associate with. Be kind and courteous to everyone, but who will you allow into your social circle? And they might be looking at you as well. Who do you, mom, dad, older brother, sister, allow into your circle? Who are the people? How do you speak? Because if we can say good companionship, but we're surrounded by people that have a more negative, or their speech is vulgar, or our speech is vulgar, what is our child going to learn? Good companionship only goes so far when the role model is giving the worst types of behavior themselves. What else do we have from the brother side?
Nowadays, parents are busy in their jobs and everything, but they should make a schedule like time. Whenever they come back, they should do at least 1 hour or half an hour with the child.
Allahu Akbar.
And they should actually get involved. They should discuss what they do, and they should be in their shoes, understand everything, what they do, how they do it, so that when they have the interaction every day, it really helps.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Tahir, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, okay? And everyone who heard this, who was raised in a different country. Actually, first off, did you hear what he said? Were you guys able to hear him for the most part? He was speaking so loud too, mashallah. He was raising his voice. He was saying that make sure you make time for your children. You sit down, talk with them, you interact with them, know what they're doing in their day, know what's happening in their lives. Take time away from everything else and give time to them. For those of you that were raised in a different country, you come from a different background than over here, and your parents are primarily from somewhere else, I want you to raise your hands if you're confident enough to say that my parents actively did that. Raise your hands. Raise your hands. MashaAllah, a couple of you guys. Tahir Bhai, you didn't raise your hand. I wanted to see this. Do you see that? He didn't raise his hand. That's, mashallah, tabarakallah, may Allah bless him and his family and all of us, ya Rabb. But just because we didn't receive something from our parents, doesn't mean we have to deprive our children. Because the day and age where they're living, I'm telling you, I went to high school over here. I talk to the high school, college kids now, what they're going through versus what I went through, graduating many, many years ago, right? When the 2000s were in the single digits, right? We were still, and that was like high school graduation for me. Graduating then, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. High school's wild. I talk to these kids now and I say, wow, that was a piece of cake compared to what they're going through. And if you come from a Muslim majority country and you're saying, yes, as long as they're praying their prayers 5 times a day and they're going to the masjid, I don't need to talk to them about these things. You have no idea, subhanAllah, what kind of things when it comes to the realm of and relationships. You have no idea what in the realm of parties and drugs and peer pressure they are going through. If we are not having open conversations with them now, in their young age, when they're small, when they're coming up to us and saying, Mama, Baba, look at my toy, it broke. That's not important. It's okay, we'll get another one. It's not that important. When they're young and they're coming to you and they already know whatever it is that's in their mind and in their life is not important, when they get to the elementary, middle school level, oh, it's okay, Mama, Baba doesn't care about this. This is just kid stuff. This is not important. Could you imagine that when it gets to those rough moments and now they're making those decisions by themselves? Because we didn't make that line of communication, don't be surprised when we have no level of communication with our children then. And they're not wanting to have conversations with us because we didn't make time for them when they were young. You have to build that relationship of communication and that love from a young age and foster it. And even if your kids are now in middle school and high school, it's not too late. Go make time with them. Go take them out for some ice cream. Go enjoy their time. Play games with them. I remember, okay, I won't. Someone told me once that they were playing a game and they told their father, Dad, come play with me. And the response was, I'm not one of your friends. Why are you showing me your games? And that person said afterwards, I never told my father about my games again because I realized he was going to shut me down. It's a very demoralizing and very painful thing to have your dad say or your mom say, I don't care. Go away. Stop bothering me. Could you imagine that little soul that wants your attention, that desires your approval of something or wants you to play with them, and you say, no, no, no. That is where the relationship starts. The Prophet ﷺ told us, or it's not a hadith, it is a statement, I believe, of the Sahaba, that the first 7 years, play with your child. You're building a relationship. The next 7 years, you're giving them adab. You're teaching them rules, etiquettes, right? And then when they become even older, you're advising them now. There has to be this mentality that I must play with my kid because that is ibadah, it is worship because you are taking care of your family. You are supporting them, you're giving them support emotionally. You are enjoying your time with them. And you're building a relationship, inshallah ta'ala, that yes, in the teenage years, there's going to be a drop-off. It's going to hurt. Don't worry. I'm waiting for it. My boy's 9. We're getting there soon, right? But inshallah ta'ala, what I've seen over and over again, those caring, loving parents, those kids come out of that dip or it's a rough patch, but then they see, subhanAllah, I asked my cousins, oh, Allahu Akbar, this conversation, I looked at these young men and women who I see in the community, who I see are always so exceptional. I asked them a simple question. Were your parents connected to the masjid? And did you go to the masjid when you were young? And almost always when you see an exceptional individual, they will say yes. and the reason why is because I have 2 cousins like this. And I asked them, what made you fall in love with the masjid? Like, you were young, like, wouldn't there be times where you're like, I don't want to go? And for them, it became a thing, a part of their personality that, how am I not going to go for Maghrib? How am I not going to go for Isha? My friends are there, we're going to play basketball, and the Imam knows us, and our family, we know each other. And they had a connection to the masjid. These young men who are now, mashallah ta'ala, both dentists, mashallah tabarakallah, grown men, one of them had his first child, mashallah tabarakallah. One of the first things they would do when they arrive in a city, not look for the restaurants. Yeah, they will look for the restaurants as well. One of the first things, where is the closest Islamic center? They're traveling. They don't need to go to a masjid. But what's one of the first things on their mind? Let me go be with the Muslim community. Oh, Allahu Akbar. It makes you want to just bawl my eyes out. Look at what their parents did for them. Look at how much value that had. And when we put time... Can I get some water, guys? You know, the reason why this topic is the reason why this topic is so difficult just to talk about is because my office hours are filled with young men and women who are struggling. They're struggling in their faith. They're struggling. They're struggling in their faith. They're struggling in their relationships with their family members. And many of them didn't have a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala growing up. They didn't have a relationship with the masjid. And it doesn't mean by us being individuals that frequent the masjid, it doesn't mean that as individuals that pray 5 times a day, that our family lives are going to be perfect. We know it's far from that. But this is our stability. Our relationship with Allah, our connection in the Muslim community, we have individuals that have, same attraction from our Muslim community. We have individuals who are struggling with gender dysphoria, individuals who are struggling with haram relationships, all kinds of things, major sins, minor sins, suicidal tendencies. And if they don't feel comfortable enough to go to their own family members or to their Imam, then we are failing them. I'm sorry, guys, it's difficult to continue, but just closing words is that we as parents, as the elders, we have to be the source of support and stability. In our community, we have to be the source of support and stability for one another. And I ask Allah to continue to bless this masjid and this community and the families, Ya Rabb. Allahumma ameen. It's not going to be a perfect process. It's going to be difficult. But the more that we educate, we learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more we empower our men, our women, our mothers, our fathers, the more that we are vigilant and away from our devices and constantly inundated with what's happening in society and trying to look at everything else except our family. The more we're connected to our families, the more we're connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the more fruitful our lives will be, the more fruitful our overall experience of life will be. If we are glued to our phones, we're glued to our devices, if our career is number one before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, before our family, then don't be surprised when we have so many challenges and difficulties. And for the parents who have tried and have put so much effort,
for the parents who've tried their best with whatever they had, know that Allah will not let your effort go to waste. Even if you see your child's getting further and further away from Islam, keep making dua for them, keep calling them back. Even one of a friend, a colleague of mine, he said his mother would constantly just remind him about the Quran, about Islam. And in his high school years, he said he left it all. He didn't want any of it. And he said that he became atheist. And his mother would keep reminding him and keep trying to encourage him. And one day as he was just walking home without even thinking, he just randomly started sending salawat upon the Prophet ﷺ. Because he saw his mother do it all the time. And it just kicked in. And he just started crying. And no matter how much he wanted to get away from Islam, and no matter how much society put that pressure on him, his mother never stopped making dua for him. Be the source of upliftment, of protection for your young. Be the ones who are there. Because maybe some of us, we didn't have that father figure or that mother figure. Someone who was going to be there for us. And perhaps we still don't have it. Maybe we might be a big brother or a big sister and a mentor to someone else. And if we didn't receive it, alhamdulillah. Imagine you being able to give something that perhaps Allah didn't bless you with, but you said, let me give something, I needed this badly. Let me give it to someone else. With that, again, I apologize. I'm not going to be able to keep it together. But may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and our families, Ya Rabb. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.